Hi, I'm Liz Miele with JED Voices, and I'm sitting down to have a great conversation with Hunter McGrady. Hi, Hunter.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
This is a muggy day.
It's a muggy day, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming. I'll share a little bit about me because I really related to your story. You started modeling at 16. I actually started doing stand-up comedy when I was 16.
Oh, awesome.
Whenever I meet anybody that's started to pursue their passion at a really young age, I'm always fascinated why they would do that, because I think, as you know, everybody's like hooking up with people and like, I don't know, I did drugs. I don't know what you were doing.
Yeah.
But like there's all these different things where you're like trying to get to know yourself and, you know, being debaucherous and hopefully trying to at least make it out of high school.
Right.
Why, when everybody was doing all these fun and not fun things, did you decide to pursue this passion?
I was just not your typical teenager. I wasn't into drugs. I've actually never even tried a single drug in my entire life. Like, not weed, nothing.
All right, don't brag.
I wasn't. I'm like, gosh, just like never once. But no, it was just not something I was into. I wasn't into parties. I wasn't into drinking, but also because I really wasn't given that chance. Like, I dealt with heavy bullying in high school, so high school is not my favorite place to be.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, even bigger than high school. I thought, well, I might as well get my career started now then, because I'm not the happiest right now, you know, where I'm at. So I'll just get going.
You started pursuing it at 16. Who were your influences? Who were the people that kind of inspired you?
My family. My mom was a model. My dad is still an actor. So I really grew up in this business, and I saw my mom modeling and I saw my dad on set, and I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And my grandmother was a model. My aunt was a model. So I kind of grew up. It was like, okay, this is just what I'm going to be. I loved the camera. I loved being in front of it. I could really just be who I wanted to be, and there was no judgment behind that.
Was it an escape for you?
In some ways, I felt like because I was able to open up more behind the camera and be loose and silly, and people would consider it art instead of weird.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super cool. I was like, oh, well, this is art. It's not considered weird by my peers or by anyone around me.
You said that you were bullied a lot. Did you find it easier to connect with people or make friends when you were pursuing your passion than it was when you were in this kind of box of high school and this is learning or
Right.
socializing?
I did, because I was around like-minded people, and I was around other teenagers who were kind of going through the same thing and, you know, wanting to further their career at an earlier age. And again, I didn't feel as judged as, you know, as I did when I was in high school. It was, everyone thought it was bizarre that I was wanting to work at 16.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I got along more with people who were doing what I was doing.
Why did you feel that you were being bullied or overlooked in a lot of ways?
Well, when I was 16 years old, so I'm 6 feet tall, and I was about a size 2. So I struggled with eating. And
When you say you struggled with eating, like you didn't like it, you didn't want to?
I didn't eat, yeah.
Yeah.
And anything I did eat, it would be, like, for instance, a meal would be lettuce, just lettuce.
Yeah.
No sauce, no, you know, maybe a tomato if I wanted to spice things up a little bit. You know, and working out for hours a day, because I thought that was kind of what a model had to look like, and what I had to bring to the table in order to be successful. But at school, you know, that still wasn't enough. I was still called fat every single day. And I think because everyone knew that I wanted to be a model, and I think that was kind of a way to bring me down and bring
Of course,
me back.
they knew exactly what your insecurity was.
They knew exactly what my insecurity was, and I think that was pretty easy to tell too if you met me.
Yeah.
I was insecure about my skin. I had really bad acne. I was tall and gawky, and I had braces. And I also think because I was maybe shy, it may have come off that I just didn't want to make friends. So
Yeah.
me and my one best friend in school, we would just eat in the Spanish teacher's room every single lunch. Like,
Yeah.
that was our go-to. And I would be so mortified walking past a group of girls, or walking past the cafeteria, or walking, you know, during class passing hours, because that's when everyone was out. So that was really hard for me, that time in my life.
So you have this one best friend. Is it somebody that you're still friends with now?
Yes, I was actually just her bridesmaid, and she's my bridesmaid as well.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you have this one best friend, which is actually more than some people have.
Yeah.
Which is, especially at a really hard time that you were talking about people not only not accepting you, but finding your insecurity and bullying you specifically on something that is, either important to you or you don't feel good about.
Right.
How was she a good friend to you? Like when you were at your lowest, what kind of things did she do for you to kind of make you feel like you could get through this situation and feel even empowered?
She's incredible, and we are still friends to this day, which is just such a blessing to say. We actually both went through the very similar thing together. She wanted to be an actress, I wanted to be a model. So the two of us, people just did not like us together. They were like, these girls are crazy, I don't understand what they're doing. And we would just help build each other up and say, these people, simply put, hurting people hurt people.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we realized at a really young age, and we kind of helped each other. It actually got so bad, we both got pulled out of school and did homeschooling from sophomore year on to graduate high school.
Wow, together or?
We did it together, yeah.
Okay.
And because we were getting death threats, it was really bad. It's like the stuff you see in movies, and you're like, this can't exist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it exists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she was my support during that time. And then I got a boyfriend, and we all know how that goes. I kind of put my focus more on him.
Yeah.
And we distanced for a little bit, and then about 8 years ago, we kind of reconnected again, and she's one of my best friends. And she still lifts me up and tells me I can do anything I want to do, and I do the same for her. And I think that's what's so important, is that women are championing other women.
Yeah.
And I make sure I choose my friends like that.
Yeah.
People who will lift me up.
Isn't that interesting though, that like it's taken a while, and I would say this on both sides, guys and women, that you're always looking for like your other half, which I still don't think is the right way of putting that, but you're always looking for somebody that you have this deeper connection with, that you can kind of build a life with. But nobody really explains that these friends that you make, whether it's in elementary school or high school, college, afterwards, at work, somebody that you randomly meet on the bus, however you meet your friends and you make this community, that's equally as important.
Just as important, if not more, because you are turning to that person when you and your significant other may be in an argument, or you just want someone that you're comfortable talking to and you can really open up to. And she's always been that for me.
Yeah, and it's your community. I think
it's important.
People talk about like how our communities have shifted because of social media, or even just the fact that once high school ended, it felt like everybody moved away.
Yeah.
And then even after like college and graduate school or job, people just got further. And my best friend moved to Hawaii, and I was like, "Why are you trying to hurt us?"
Yeah.
I was like, and I'm the one that travels in our relationship.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how you start to learn that it's almost like finding, like it used to be family. It used to be you had your grandmother and your grandfather, and you had your siblings, and you had your parents, and maybe you had like a teacher and like a friend. But like as that's kind of shifting in a lot of ways, it's starting to go onto your peer group. So then you're almost trying to find little surrogate parents and surrogate siblings, and but you find them in different ways. So there's somebody that's the cheerleader. Like I also say, you shouldn't dismiss your fun friends, because sometimes you just need somebody to go to the movies with, or somebody to just have a drink with. But you also sometimes just need somebody that you can look in the eye and say, I'm not okay.
Right.
And I might not even know how to tell you that I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I could just tell you that I wake up and I don't feel
great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you're almost collecting these friends, how are you that friend to the other person? Because it's one thing to always, you also have to see that it's a balance, because if you're always the person leaning on them, but you can't equally be that person back, how are some ways that you felt that you were a good friend?
I think the most important thing is just making sure that each other knows that it's a no judgment zone, that there's no judgment. You can tell me anything and I will not look at you sideways, and we'll get through it together, and I want to help you. I think a lot of times people these days, because of the stigma around things, they're so afraid that they're going to be judged and someone's going to treat them different or look at them a different way. And basically saying to your friend, listen, you can tell me anything and I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to work it through with you. And I do the same. And my two best girlfriends and my sister, so 3 of them, we're all on that same path of anything you say goes. And it's okay to be open. I'm here for you. And also just letting them know that, like, I go through stuff too. And it's okay to not be okay. You know, you said it. It's like, that's the most important thing to get across is we're all going through something.
Yeah.
It may be different, but we're all sometimes hurting. We all wake up sad. We all wake up, you know, on the wrong side of the bed, or sometimes it's a day, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's a year or years.
Yeah.
You know, and just saying I'm here for you, I think, is the most crucial thing.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you've explicitly talked about this in other interviews, but have you ever struggled with any kind of eating disorder or body dysmorphia, anything that kind of...
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah, I've struggled with major body dysmorphia and eating and depression, anxiety. Since I was 16 years old, I would look in the mirror and I would hate who I saw. I would hate the way my body looked because it wasn't what I saw in the media. It wasn't what was considered pretty. And I had severe depression over it because I thought that I wasn't good enough and I wasn't going to be worthy of becoming this supermodel. That's all I wanted. And it's like, at the end of the day, that's so little compared to, you know, what I really needed in my life. I struggled really bad with depression after I had a really bad breakup. Okay. Because I put a ton of my worth, my everything into a person. And I think that's another thing that we tend to do, you know, as human beings. We kind of forget to take care of ourselves, and we lose the little things, like even getting a good night's sleep. Like,
oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's we definitely forget to take care of ourselves, and we lose ourselves, you know, and we put our self-worth into other people, into media, into now social media, Instagram. I mean, you know.
If I don't get all the likes then I feel that I deserve, it's a day wrong.
Yeah, no, that's the thing though, is like, you know, I mean, Instagram wasn't around when I was in high school.
Thank God.
But yeah, you know, and I think about these kids these days and I'm like, I sometimes post a photo and I go, okay, why am I losing followers? Why am I not getting the likes?
Yeah.
And we put so much of our time and energy into that, and it's so... It feels very lonely and self-alienating.
And it's, at the end of the day, a picture.
It's a picture.
It's
and
a
we're
picture.
only seeing 1% of our lives.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and I went into plus-size modeling when I was 20. And at first I was so mortified to say the words plus-size because I was like, oh, this just means I'm overweight and that, you know, I'm not worth being, you know, I'm not worthy being a regular model.
Yeah.
And then I really learned about what it meant and everything behind it. And I learned more about my body and who I am. I learned more about the way my body works instead of the way it looks.
Yeah.
You know, the stretch marks, I'm 6 feet tall. I grew.
Yeah.
Both ways, out and tall. And that's normal.
Yeah.
Cellulite, that's normal.
Yeah.
Having rolls, that was normal, you know, and I had to, of course, go to therapy and really learn how to look at myself a different way, look in the mirror a different way, and take care of myself.
So let's backtrack a little bit. You say look at your body a different way, and therapy helped you, you know, you went from saying that you couldn't accept the way you looked and that it wasn't good enough, and now you're at a place where you can look yourself in the mirror and say this is normal, this is a healthy body. Yeah. What was it in therapy, and what was it, you know, in and out of therapy that was the real work to get you from that mindset? Because those are, to
Two
me,
completely different mindsets.
not only completely different, but like even I think for my growth, because I think all women of all sizes never feel good enough. It's constantly, you're not skinny enough, you're not tall enough, you're too hairy. Like it feels like things that are completely out of your control are still not good enough.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like my sister is a curvier woman. She's struggled with her weight her entire life. And to me, it was always, I can tell her, I can say you're beautiful. I can tell her that
Unless she knows it.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. Literally, I mean, she's mentally, we're all mentally.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was
right.
just like we all need therapy for other reasons.
Totally.
But if we're gonna strictly talk about appearance, I was like, you're a gorgeous, incredible person that you can do things to change to feel healthier.
Right.
You can work out. You can even just take a walk just so that your body is moving, because we're moving people. But how do you go on your own? Because it is a journey on your own. How do you go from I don't accept myself to I do accept myself? Because I think there's most people that say, yeah, I can say it in the mirror every day. It doesn't mean I accept.
I can't say I'm always going to be in the mindset that I am in now, and that I wake up every day and everything is great.
Yeah.
And I feel good and I look good. I have bad days.
Yeah.
And that's my most important message to tell people, is that like you don't just go from one to one and then all of a sudden
And it's
like,
stagnant.
Yeah, you don't just do that.
Yeah.
You don't just wake up and go, well, all of a sudden I feel good.
Yeah.
Depression's gone, my anxiety's gone. I can
Yeah.
walk out the house and feel great. But it's that work in between, like you're saying, that for me, it was learning about why I feel this way. Learning about the media for me was huge. Who I was seeing on TV was never the tall, curvy girl. I never felt like I was represented then. I still have a hard time with that. You know,
Yeah.
I have to be that person to represent
Yeah.
women.
I'm representing myself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's really hard, is learning about the media for me, learning about just, again, what is the deep-rooted, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like I have to compare myself? And so what if I have these roles? So what if I have these stretch marks? So what's going to happen then?
And
You know?
who's not accepting you? Because that's the other thing, is that we always put it on other people, and you're like, and they're almost fictitious people half the time.
Well, that's the thing, is that, you know, more often than not, we're really just putting it in our heads. We're really just saying, I don't want to go on a beach in a swimsuit because everyone's going to stare at me. But really, if you do it, no one cares. I mean, really, no one's
Everybody's
caring.
also insecure.
Everyone's also insecure, exactly. And so opening up and saying, listen, I'm insecure. I hurt sometimes. I don't feel great sometimes. And then, you know, you open up that conversation to other people and say, okay, what about you?
So you acknowledge that the media had a definite influence, and you talked about representation, which is, I think, has been huge in all areas.
Yeah.
Like you look at Crazy Rich Asians and the fact that there's more Asians that are leading men and leading women.
Right.
Black Panther. So you have more. I mean, the women in Black Panther is like. I mean, we all want to be.
Oh my gosh! I saw that and I was like, yes, they're strong.
And they're
powerful.
they're the heroes.
Yeah.
Truthfully, you have like the sister and the women that are helping Black Panther. I mean, I felt that was an empowering movie, just as being a woman, let alone being a Black woman and Black people in general. So more and more, you see the representation of people of different sizes, and I think that's been extremely important, I think, for all women. So what I found really fascinating is, so for my sister has always struggled to find clothes, always. There's 2 stores, and everything else, if you did find something, it was only online, and you know how that works. Like, I don't think any woman can buy a pair of jeans and be happy. It's a miracle. I go to the same store and buy the same jeans and, until they rip, and then I get them again, because it's like, I don't want to, that's heartbreaking. It's some of the most heartbreaking work I do in my life. So for her, it's changed in the last couple of years, where you see more and more, there's more stores that now have bigger sections. Because the other thing is, people will be like, well, you have that section. You're like, it's a moo-moo. There's like 3 things. Like, I'm a diverse person with diverse tastes. Why do all plus size women have to have the same taste? You know what I mean? Why do we all have this little section of 4 t-shirts, when truthfully, everyone out, babies at this point have more of a diverse selection of clothes. And this is a huge population of people that are told this is all you get. So not only just having the ability to buy clothes that represent who you feel like as a person, but then even the fact that what I've noticed more and more, and I don't know if you've seen it, is because now we're getting hit with all these like Instagram and Facebook ads. what I do like about them is it's these independent stores, independent bras, independent underwear, independent clothing. And that's where you're seeing the diverse body types. And that's where you're seeing stretch marks because they're not, they're not photoshopping them. And that's where I've started to be like, oh, these are real women.
Right.
And these are women that they're not flaws.
Right.
They're part of your body.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is that I think a lot of people don't realize is that media rules a lot of our lives.
Absolutely.
We're on our phones constantly.
Yeah.
The magazines tell us we have to, look a certain way, act a certain way, be married by this age, have kids by this age. By the way, you have to finish college at this time. You have to make this amount of money, and then you're okay.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're flawed.
Yeah.
And no matter what we think, we turn on TV, that's what it's telling us. We walk down the streets and we see billboards, that's what it's essentially screaming at us. We walk past the store, that's what we see in the billboards and the ads in the store. We're on our phones, and I think that's why for me, because I knew I wanted to be in the media and be in that's why it had such an impact on me.
Well, because in the beginning you were trying to fit the mold,
Yeah.
and now you're showing the media,
try to
I am
break
the
the-
mold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this
And
is,
so-
I'm a real woman.
Yeah, I'm a woman, you're a woman, we're completely different sizes, and that's another thing is I get that a lot is, people say, oh, well, real women have curves, or real, this is what a real woman looks like, and I'm like, a real woman?
Yeah.
My best friend who's a size 00 is a real woman, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Oh, a friend of mine who's a size 24, 30, she's a real woman.
Yeah.
We're all real women. Let's all support each other and say,
Yeah.
it's okay to love one another.
Yeah.
That's okay. It might be kind of crazy to think about in this society, but it's okay to love.
Absolutely. And so you were able first to kind of attack the media and kind of how that was influencing you, and then you talked about going to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
In therapy, what were some of the, because you said it was also inside of you, so what were some of the things that you were battling, and maybe negative mantras and ideas that you had to kind of break down when you were...
So I really honed in and learned about affirmations.
Okay.
And as crazy as I felt when I first started, she literally just said, look in the mirror and tell yourself the things that you want to feel about yourself. Like, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am enough, I'm not dictated by the media, and so on and so forth. I probably have 5 pages full of affirmations that I would go through. And I still do them every single day.
Yeah.
And at first it was really hard because I didn't believe them about myself. So I thought, this is dumb. I'm just looking in my mirror and saying these things, and what is this gonna do? Little did I know that after just even a month of that, and she said, do it every day. If you look at yourself in your rear view mirror in the car, tell yourself these things. Take some with you. Take 5 that you just can quick rattle off. Look in a compact mirror, and I want you to look at yourself in the eyes. And I think that's a really hard thing is really looking at yourself and fear of doing this and being even vulnerable with ourselves. And one thing my mom always told me is fear is false evidence appearing real. So you are not, defined by all these things that people are trying to tell you are. And that really helped shape the way I thought about myself, the way I thought about others, the way I looked at myself, the way I carried myself. We don't realize how much of an impact our mind has on everything.
Yeah.
The only reason when we're working out or running that our legs stop is because our mind tells it to.
Absolutely.
So when you realize that and the power of the mind and the power behind that, it's huge. So that was one thing for me that I had a huge breakthrough with, was affirmations and learning what loving myself looked like and not feeling guilty about taking time to myself. I always felt guilty that I was napping, or I felt guilty that I was taking a long bath, or I felt guilty if I was eating a piece of cake that I was craving. I felt this severe guilt, and which led into depression and not feeling enough. And that really helped trickle a lot away from me with affirmations. And, she always said, don't don't allow yourself to be lazy.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to have a day to just do what you want to do, whether it's lay in bed for a day, read, go on a walk, go get a coffee, whatever it is. Like, don't feel guilty about that.
Well, I think, and it becomes cheesy after a while where people are like self-care, we're self-care.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is those are things that are self-care. There are days, like I struggle with that. I travel a lot.
Me too,
and
yeah.
when it comes to traveling, most of the time I'm on a train, in an Uber, on a plane, somebody's picking me up. I'm doing almost nothing.
Right.
But I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. The biggest thing from the last couple of years is when people ask me how I am, and my friends have pointed it out, I just say I'm really tired.
Me too. Yeah.
And so it's like, but what I'm kind of saying is like, I'm not fully a person. I'm not exactly happy, but I'm not exactly sad.
Yeah.
I'm not fully capable of being a good friend right now to me or others.
Yeah.
And usually it's the day after I get back where I have so much to do that I find myself almost paralyzed because I'm both angry that I don't want to do anything, but I'm also incapable of doing much. And I will do something like that. Like I'll walk 10 minutes and I'll go get myself a latte that I could make at home. Like truthfully, it would be cheaper, but it's mostly get out of the house, do something that I want to do for myself, go grocery shopping in a kind of way where I come back with 4 things that I don't even know if I needed them. But these little moments where as I'm trying to kind of figure out what I want to do with my day, I accept that I'm not ready to start my day.
Right.
Or I'm not ready to be a person.
Right.
And it's taken me a long time, even in my own life, to acknowledge that I'm not always going to be 100% myself. And I think that's really important what you said earlier, which is that while I've grown and I've learned to love myself and accept myself, there's going to be good days and bad days, and there's going to be good moments and bad moments. Like I have a viral video, which is both a blessing and a curse.
Right.
So it's some of the nicest things that I've ever been said, not to my face, but typed, and some of the meanest things I've ever read. And I try not to read the mean things, but you can't learn about the good things and you can't reach out to the fans if you don't.
Right.
And so more and more, I had an intern for a while that kind of helped me with it, and then she left, and I was like, but you were my filter.
Right, like filtering it through.
But I've realized they hit me. Like they hit me hard, and that I'll have to almost like readjust. And sometimes it won't hit me right away. All it will take is like a bad day. I'll remember that comment, and it'll shift me back down.
And you probably don't remember any of the good comments when you're having that bad day. No,
of course not.
No, yeah.
And that's usually when I reach out to a friend, journal. I don't know do you journal?
Huge. I think it's important to journal every thought. I think if you wake up and you go, you know what, I'm just not feeling great today.
Yeah.
I need to just get it out somehow. My sister's working. I can't get a hold of her right now. My best friends are out on vacation.
It's 3 a.m.
It's 3 a.m. I'm waking up. I'm having a bad night's sleep.
Yeah.
I'm going to write it down and get it off my chest and put it in there for right now.
Yeah.
I think journaling is huge.
You know what actually was an epiphany to me, and it sounds really silly, is I used to, because I'm a notebook person, I still handwrite stuff, and I do it both for my stand-up, but I do it even just for like thoughts and stuff like that. But I get very anxious, I have panic attacks, I have moments where I'm just truthfully not okay, and I just started typing things in my phone, like in the notes section, which technically is journaling. I know it sounds weird, but I've always considered it a handwriting, pen to paper.
Basically, these days,
And in that it was a free-flowing thoughts, but sometimes I'll just write back, I'm not okay, I feel really stressed, I'm worried about X, Y, and Z, and it could be honestly 15 seconds of I'm just not okay right now. And sometimes I'll just like kind of read it, and it's this moment I'm having in public.
Cathartic.
Yeah, I'm on a train. You know what I mean? Going to like an audition or going to meet somebody, and I just don't feel like I can be myself. And you just kind of put it out there. And you know, I don't delete them. So there'll be sometimes I'll be looking for like an address to something, and I'll be like, oh, that was a bad day.
Yeah, totally. You're like, all right.
And it's almost like growth, because I can look and be like, oh,
today is a good day.
Yeah, that was 15 days ago, and I feel nothing that I felt 15 days ago.
Yeah.
How crazy is that I can look at my own growth? And sometimes that's helped with, I was never a diary person in high school, and I really wish I was, because there's definitely times now where I'll come across something in a journal from 3 years ago, and I go, I'm not even that person anymore. That wouldn't even be an insecurity I would have. Right. How crazy is it to even see the growth in a couple of years as an adult?
You know, we're going to be different people, and you know, a day from now.
Yeah.
We're stronger tomorrow than we are today, you know. And I think that it's like we have to remember that we may not be where we want to be, but we are sure as heck, you know, not where we were.
Absolutely. Oh, you know what I loved? I read an interview that you did where you talked about that you don't consider yourself a plus size model and that you consider it that segregation.
Yeah.
And I loved that because as a comic, I'm constantly referred to as a comedian.
Yeah.
I
have to say female comedian. Yeah.
Oh, the best is the first question you get is who are your favorite female comics?
Yeah.
And you're like,
Why is
what
that?
are we yeah, are we
Yeah.
bathrooms? Why are we
Yeah.
dividing us?
Yeah.
I think Wanda Sykes and Dave Chappelle are both equally powerful comedians that have shaped who I am as a comic.
Right.
So what I loved about when you talked about not feeling that you're a model, at the end of the day you get paid to try on fancy clothes
Yeah.
and express yourself in this way. How is it any
Right.
different? Even that has that had an effect on me. How did you feel that? Was that an anger that came from?
You know, this isn't a question I get asked a ton is, how do you feel about the words plus size model? And, you know, I felt so many different ways about it. This could be a whole conversation in and of itself. A lot of people who I've talked to who are plus size models say that I love it. It's empowering to me and I feel like this is awesome. And I'm like, heck yeah, good for you. Whatever makes you feel good. For me, I do find it to be a little segregating. I don't like that I have to, even when I go shopping, the words plus size are usually upstairs, like you said.
Yeah, they're always on the side. It's always a different section.
On the side, on websites I go to, I can't, you know, the layouts are different. And yeah, I'm a model just as much as anybody else. We get paid the same, we do the same exact things, we travel the same, we go to the same places. I think that's just, it's just another form of putting people in another box.
Yeah.
You know.
They're like, we accept this box, and then
Yeah.
they're like, but we're going to put it over here.
Yeah.
And you're like, why can't we just all be
Why
in the
can't
same?
we all just be together?
Yeah.
You know, and recently I got asked, because it was recently New York Fashion Week, and a reporter asked me, she said, do you think it's enough diversity on the runway? Do you think that there's enough diversity in media? Do you think that that it's enough? And I said, enough? It's never going to be enough until me and any one of my friends of any size and any shape can go into any store and shop for anything and come out with something.
It's also a little condescending. What is enough? You know what I mean?
What is
like,
enough?
Enough is like, have we appeased you? Are you
Yeah.
going to stop complaining?
Yeah, exactly.
And like you said, it's just about feeling included in a way that it's not even a thought.
So I always go back to this. Oprah got asked.
Who's Oprah?
Just this girl. She's
Yeah.
just kind of like.
Yeah, she said
a
she's done some
powerhouse.
things.
Yeah. Check her. Google her.
Yeah.
She had gotten asked, what is the common denominator between everybody that you've interviewed? She's interviewed people from presidents to, Nelson Mandela to people in third world countries. And she said the common denominator is that people just want to be heard.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the most powerful statement I've ever heard, is that it's so true. We all want to be heard, whether it's you, me, my barista at Starbucks, you know, the president of the United States, whoever it is like, we all just want to be heard.
And I think the internet and social media have really shown that I mean, we could talk about the negativity of social media, but the positivity is that there are groups that didn't feel confident enough to say that I feel misrepresented, I feel invisible, are able to be like, this is hurtful for you to say this is what a woman is supposed to look like, or to even say that we have, you know, one black guy, so therefore it's diversity. You know what I mean? Oh, there's one plus size model that's walking down the runway. You're welcome, ladies.
Right.
And you're just like, come on.
Yeah, and going back on what you just said is that there is a lot of positive that can be had. You have the capability to follow who you want to follow.
Absolutely.
You can follow positive people who make you feel good. And, you know, I actually created a hashtag called AllWorthy. And it was really meant for a place to just be open, whether you're a man, a woman, to what the great thing about hashtags is you can click it and see all the photos under that hashtag. So I really wanted it to be kind of a community of people who are just saying, this is me, unmasked, and we're all worthy. I'm worthy of feeling beautiful, of feeling successful, and feeling like I'm enough, etc. The list goes on, and we're all worthy together.
So you started that hashtag. What were some of the things that surprised you and people that used it for themselves that you wouldn't have thought of yourself?
I think a lot of men.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, in this conversation, we of body, image, and which is linked, for me at least, and I know some of my friends have linked with my mental health and my depression struggles and my anxiety struggles, is that men are also dealing with this, and we forget about that.
Yeah.
We forget that men also deal with, body image issues. They also open the Men's Health magazine and look at the guy who's has a 12-pack, and and they think that that's the standard that they have to uphold to.
Yeah.
It was also people who were open about their relationships, and saying, I'm not able to be intimate with this person because I don't love who I am, and I don't want to be in a relationship because I don't feel comfortable in who I am, and I struggle with depression because of that. People were really honest and open. I think at the beginning it was hard to kind of get it rolling, so I really made sure I put a lot out there and said, this is who I am, these are things I struggle with, I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And then it really grew.
And people put their vulnerability out there, like to say that I can't be intimate with my partner because I don't accept myself, or to even a lot of men opening up and saying that maybe I have bulimia, maybe I have body dysmorphia, or even just the fact that you can just be a regular man and be like, I don't accept how I look because of media. How was your response? Because that's a lot to put on you as somebody that's just an equal partner, being like, oh, here's my vulnerability, and then somebody gives it back and you're like, oh, I might not be trained for this.
Well, that's exactly it. I'm not like a trained professional.
Yeah.
I'm just here to say, I feel you.
Yeah, I got
get
you.
it. I totally get it. We're in this together.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how we can support each other and who we can talk to work on this.
And so we talked about journaling, we talked about therapy. Are you somebody that is an advocate of telling people not only reach out to friends, but to reach out to different sources? At this point, there's so many websites and organizations, and
I'm a huge advocate for that. I also think going to the doctor, and I'm someone who takes medication for it, I don't think that that's wrong.
Of course
think that
not.
there's such a stigma around that as well. But maybe that's not your thing, and maybe you go, you know what, I really am just I just want someone to talk to. And there's so many places right now that, you could even text and you have a conversation with someone one-on-one who are trained professionals who can help you through something. But, I think that there's, a lot of outlets now that were not available when I was younger.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's huge, because we're talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I find, so I have friends that I'm somebody that just sees a therapist. I've never taken medication. My brother takes medication for his mental illness, which is bipolar 1. Mm-hmm. I have friends that have dealt with clinical depression most of their lives and have tried everything, and medication was the only thing that helped them. What was it for you that was like, what was the moment that you were like, I think I need more help?
I think the moment was I was doing everything and I still felt I needed a little something, and I have severe anxiety.
Yeah.
I have severe anxiety, even though I go out to events, I go out to parties, you'll see me out and about, but it's really hard to get me out. Even now that I've gone through all these years, it's still hard to get me out and to feel comfortable in front of a ton of people, and to not have that anxiety of something's going to happen, something's going wrong, my heart's racing, or have a day where I don't get out of bed. I mean, it's just, I can remember all those things, that therapy teaches you, or affirmations, but there's still days where...
There's some days that the tools fall short. I mean, the tools are
and I think
there.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding around medication. I think that there's a lot of people, again, who, you'll say, hey, I'm on this, and they're like, oh my God, well... what's wrong with you? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people look at you like you're crazy. And I'm like, this is not something that should be, there should not be this stigma around it.
Well, it's also the same idea that you would never judge anybody for taking cancer medication. You know what I mean? Like
Or
if you
Advil.
yeah,
Or headache.
yeah, absolutely.
Why are we allowed to take care of ourselves in that way, but not when it comes to our mental health?
Absolutely.
It's so important.
So you were listing some of your anxiety symptoms. I would love to learn about some of the other ways that anxiety presents itself that maybe people don't even acknowledge it as anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I would say my anxiety, I don't even know if it's moderate. Most days it's at this kind of like 4 or 5,
Right.
and then occasionally it shoots up to a 10.
Yeah.
And sometimes the 10 is brought on by something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's out of nowhere. I was leaving a movie theater. I would say this was I've had maybe 3 panic attacks in the last year,
Yeah.
but that's good for me. It used to be a lot more.
Great, yeah.
But this was maybe 2 years ago. I was leaving the movie theater. Wasn't a particularly good or a bad movie. I had almost no feelings.
Right.
And he went to the bathroom, I went to the bathroom, and I just started having a full panic attack. I got really scared that somebody was gonna hurt me.
Yeah.
I'm in an empty bathroom.
Right.
And I was scared that somebody was in a stall, that they were gonna hurt me, that my life was in danger. I started having like heart palpitations and I started breathing heavy and I couldn't pee. Like I literally just like ran out.
Right.
And my friend found me on the stairs crying and had no idea, like he had seen me 2 minutes before and I was
Right.
fine.
Right.
And I couldn't explain it. And he knew enough about me to know, like he was like, are you okay? And I was
Right.
like, no. And he
Right.
goes, what do you need me to do? And I was just like, just stand there.
That's the greatest question he could have ever asked you. I
Yeah.
think that's another thing is, I think it's really important for people to educate themselves on things to ask. I've gotten told a lot of times, just get over it.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna happen. You're fine.
Yeah.
You're overreacting. You're
Yeah.
being dramatic. Because a lot of times it won't be anything. I'll just be sitting there watching TV and all of a sudden my heart is pounding. I have hives up to my neck. I'm heavy breathing and I feel like I'm gonna pass out.
Yeah.
I think that that's my last moment. And that's very scary. And in that moment, you just want someone to say, what can I do for you? And let me help you.
Yeah.
Let me just love you,
Yeah.
you know?
And truthfully, I didn't know what I needed, and I just needed him to walk with me, so we were walking outside, and at one point I was like, I need to sit. And he is not a comforting person.
Yeah.
That's the craziest part
Yeah.
about it.
And sometimes it's saying nothing.
Yeah, absolutely, we did. We sat, we said nothing, and he held my hand.
Yeah,
And
amazing.
I can't even reinforce this, not a loving person.
Right, right.
It's just, he's not.
Whoever you are.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's an amazing friend. He's my
Right.
fun friend. He's not somebody that I really kind of expose myself to, so it's almost like this is the worst time to have a panic attack, Liz.
It's never a good time,
Yeah,
I'm telling
you can never plan it.
Yeah.
But he just knew instinctually that he just needed to be there. And I think more and more people have to understand to be a good friend in any situation.
It's just being there.
Just being there. I don't really think it's much sometimes.
Sometimes it's just your presence that's enough. Like for me, like if I'm sitting with my fiance, he knows now that sometimes just his presence is enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes him just asking that question, is there anything I can do for you? Or are you okay? Or, when you're ready, I'm willing to talk. Again, no judgment, whatever. Because a lot of times I think with anxiety and depression, we think the things that we're sad about or the things that we're anxious about are silly. I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh God, they're gonna think this is so silly. Like,
Yeah.
But I think especially, my fiance and my family, they're really great at not making me feel bad about it and saying, that's okay. That's totally okay. What you're going through is okay, and I want to help you.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important to educate people on. Is sometimes it's your presence, sometimes it's saying, "Are you okay?" And you can kind of get the vibe if someone's just like, "I just need you to be here."
Absolutely.
You know?
And what's beautiful is when you're not able to say any of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they whether they pick it up on it or they just stay there and they go. Because I think probably when I was younger, even for me, for other friends, was like, okay, I'll let you do your thing. And it's like almost like, you're like, I don't need you to run away.
Right.
I don't need you to be scared of the uncomfortable. And
Right.
sometimes the best thing you can do as a friend is just being like, I'm a resource. You let me know.
Well, and it's healthy to step into the uncomfortable because that could save your life.
Absolutely. And I think, this is going to sound negative, I think it only gets worse as you become an adult. Not the panic attacks and the
Right.
anxiety, just that
You have more
it gets
chaos on you.
it gets more uncomfortable and
Yes.
your problems get more complex.
Yes.
And it's never an easy answer. So
Yes.
somebody be like, what can I do for you? And it feels like it's not going to be okay. But
Yeah.
if you're going to be here, it's just to tell me that whether it's to lie to me or just to tell me that you're not going anywhere.
You were probably great in school.
You know what's weird? I'm dyslexic, so
Oh, yeah.
I was very studious and
Right.
then always got okay grades,
Yeah.
which is
Was that something that you were anxious about, or you felt?
I still feel dumb. I'm 33 years
Yeah.
old, and I don't like texting
Right.
anybody because autocorrect doesn't know what I'm talking
Right,
about.
yeah.
So if I'm underground, because you know how you're like texting in between stops, I'll be
Right.
like underground and I'll be trying to text, and I have to send it now, but that's not spelled right, and I'm just like,
I have
are
a
they gonna
girlfriend
think?
who's dyslexic as well, and now I know what she's. I'm like,
Yeah.
God,
Maybe you now speak her language.
speak her language.
Yeah. My boyfriend, I used to be really particular, and now I know I'm in love because I'm just like, good luck,
Yeah, you're
good
like-
luck deciphering that.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me. This is perfect.
Yeah, thank you so much for just being open, and I know I could feel you were just, open with chatting, and I felt like this was a very safe space, so I appreciate that, and thank you so much for having me.